Hello everyone, welcome to the Lake County Board of County Commissioners. Regular meeting is August 4th, 2026. It is 11:15 a.m. Please turn off your cell phones or silence them. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Andy, can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I will make a motion to approve the agenda.
Seconded and to a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Agenda is approved. We move on to community information items. I have none. Commissioner Lee, do you have any community information items for us this morning?
I do not.
Okay. This is a reminder that all regular meetings and work sessions are recorded and available on the Lake County Government YouTube channel. They are transcribed and indexed. The recordings can be watched at a time that's best for you. Subscribe and stay informed on county decisions. We now move into the public comment portion. Public comment is available for residents wishing to speak on an agenda item or another issue not on the agenda. To make a public comment, you may request to speak by raising your hand in person or using the raise hand feature in Zoom. The chair will call on the public in order. Comment is limited to 3 minutes, not including board questions. Action, if required, will be assigned to county staff. The chair may also ask that the public comment on specific agenda items be held for later in the meeting. In certain instances, public comment will not be accepted, such as on public hearing items noted on the agenda. There's no public in the room. Becky, that leaves you online. Looks like you have your hand up. Would you just tell us your name for the record, please?
Yes, this is Becky Longberg, Executive Director of the Leadville and Lake County Regional Housing Authority, and I am here simply to express my gratitude for everyone involved in this long IGA process. It has been a heavy lift, and yet it has been surprisingly easy. I was anticipating watching 3 scorpions in a bowl, and it was not that kind of an experience. I have really enjoyed the opportunity to work with everyone from county staff to county commissioners to my board members, city hall, and city staff. So thank you. I'm here to express my gratitude.
Well, that's great. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, Becky.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 1, public hearing regarding Q2 supplemental requests. And I imagine that will be led by Candace Bryans, our county manager.
All right, so we have a few different items that are supplemental requests. Bryce and the Water and Natural Resources Department has some legal fees associated with his water attorneys. So I'll let him share just a little bit about what that's for. I do want to say that we will typically be budgeting all attorney fees if we have to use an outside attorney under Matt's budget in the future. However, Bryce is in an enterprise fund, and enterprise funds should bring in revenues that offset their expenditures. So when it comes to water council, those will continue to be seen in the water enterprise because we want to show that, you know, what he is bringing in revenue wise is covering the full cost of hosting his fund. So just so you understand why that's not in Matt Hobbs'
Okay.
actual budget.
Yes, I'm happy to talk a little bit more about this, and why it's a supplemental budget request. So this supplemental budget request actually covers legal fees and engineering fees, and it's for the due diligence and initial kind of agreement crafting to pursue the Lake Fork Ranch water rights. So we talked about this. The reason it's supplemental is that this entire thing came up after the 2026 budget was created, right? And we've kind of been working since the spring on getting a proposal ready for state land board, the owners of the ranch, and I can report back that we have been selected to move into negotiations. That doesn't mean we have anything binding yet, but it does give us some security that we're the party that state land board wants to work with to kind of explore how to make these water rights usable for us. So this amount requested, I spoke with my engineers and the water council about this specific scope of work, and this is kind of what they came up with, what they need for the rest of 2026 to get this work going. We still have a lot of due diligence going, and there's, you know, a lot of unknown elements that come out through this process, and so it's really important to get this going as soon as possible, and that'll lead us into some more binding agreements that we can talk about at a later time. But this budget allows the lawyers and engineers to actually kind of start crafting that. And then I'll just say that, you know, Lake Fork Ranch will be kind of its own separate line items on my department's budget for 2027 going forward, so that it can always be tracked on its own, just so we can, you know, to Elsa's point, we need to see that return on investment for what we're putting into this, and so keeping it all separate kind of makes that a cleaner process.
By separate, you mean all the accounting?
All the accounting, exactly. It'll just be really easy to peel these numbers away for this project versus the numbers needed by the engineers and legal, which we'll still have to engage with for our existing enterprise and existing water rights portfolio.
Okay.
Alright, the next few supplemental requests, County Attorney Matt Hobbs needed another $10,000 for professional services. Do you wanna share what that's for, Matt?
Yeah, so professional services is sort of our catch-all bucket for outside legal counsel essentially, and we initially had budgeted 50,000. I think the bulk of that has been consumed by our water attorneys, and probably about I'm gonna guesstimate about 10,000 has been consumed by our environmental attorney, Melanie Greenberg. There was an additional probably a couple thousand related to the public trustee situation where we had to look into fixing that deed. I got tagged on that, but so the bulk of that was working on the Aurora IGA, was probably the bulk of the water council fees, and then the other big piece was there have been monitoring water cases on the county's behalf where we've submitted statements of opposition, so there's like 4 of them now. I think we've kind of resolved a couple of them at this point, maybe down to 2 or 3.
There's two ongoing,
but. So, yeah, Melanie's fees are always extremely reasonable. Water council fees are extremely reasonable too, but they're just a lot of work to get up to speed and get this Aurora IGA done, and I expect that those fees will taper off here pretty significantly once we're done with that, and then they'll shift into the enterprise.
Alright, the last 2, we have operated without a communications staff member. And commissioners have communicated that they would like to have that communications staff member on board who's actually doing our professional comms. And we saw that especially during this last Willow fire, we had a ton of comms work to do. And we thankfully were able to resource request some help from other state PIOs during the Willow fire, and it was pretty evident that us tag teaming all of the comms work, that's not necessarily exactly our background is a lot, and comms, you kind of need to have a cohesive plan and get in front of things. And we found ourselves several times this year being behind situations that then you guys wanted comms to go out on, and it would have been a lot better to have had a professional comms person who had a plan, who could have been on top of that right up at the front instead of being in a response position constantly. One of those was the issue with the billing earlier this year, with the treasurer and the assessor's software. And so you guys had given us the guidance to get that person on and then to budget for them last year. I cut that position. I didn't really replace myself on the finance team. I've just done that with Will. And we cut several things because we had a tighter budget this last year. And so for the rest of this year, would be 40,000 for wages and their benefits. And then the last request is a commissioner request for the skate park. Grab my memo really quick. So we had Stuart go and look at the skate park. It'd be just a little over $10,000 to complete repairs at the Lake County Skate Park, and that would remove the kiddie pool tile edging and replace damaged sections. It would install rebar to create a stronger bond before resetting the new tile edge, so hopefully we're not just continually replacing the tile. That would cover replastering deteriorated areas and placing the missing tile with the correct size tile, removing damaged concrete to its full depth, and extending the repair area beyond the visible damage, replacing and removing sections with new colored concrete, and then our internal facilities maintenance staff would be doing that work, so this would be their time as well.
Alright. It's a lot less than the first estimate. 2 years ago, it was almost $30,000, so.
I think that may have been to fully replace it. I wasn't here at the time, but that would be my guess.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that one. I'm kinda up in the air. What do you think, Andy?
Oh man, I am fully in support of taking care of the assets that we have that serve. Do you have any further comments or questions about this particular item, Commissioner Bullock?
No.
Alrighty.
I think it's great.
Can I offer
I
something?
would make a motion to approve resolution 2026-30, a resolution approving supplemental appropriations to the 2020.
Andy, hold on just a sec.
Yep.
Sorry, Andy, I wasn't loud enough. I just wanna offer that I understand we want to maintain the things that we have, and I think this is, totally within the scope of doable. I'd like to say before we consider other things that aren't, like the roof on the library had to be redone, I'd really love to get our capital asset plan done before we continue to just one-off, make repairs. And we are putting the RFP out for that hopefully by the end of next week. So I think this is completely fine to do whatever you want with. But I do think it would be great to get that information back and start to say, okay, this year we can do these 3 things and have, instead of having lots of one-off items. Would be my only request, hopefully in the future.
No, I hear what you're saying.
That's all, sorry, Andy.
No, I agree with that assessment. There were just certain items that I had a little more intimate knowledge with that watching them get worse were really concerning to me about, it takes time to make the asset management plan to get it across the board. And in the meantime, this was just an item that really jumped out to me that if it got worse, it was going to cost us more. And I know we see that every time we turn around. This was just one specific item that I saw with my own eyes on a handful of occasions and felt like some low-hanging fruit of something we could at least take off the list while we're waiting for the asset management plan, which will inform us and give us a roadmap for asset repair, improvements, deferred maintenance moving forward for many years. So I appreciate and very grateful for staff, their efforts and their time moving forward with the asset management plan, and I'm all for following that roadmap moving forward. And I do appreciate the board taking up this one project ahead of time before we got the asset management plan in completed.
Andy, this is a public hearing portion regarding Q2 supplemental requests, so I didn't get a chance to open up the hearing formally, but now I will. And that means that anybody who would like to comment on this supplemental budget request can do so now. That's a retroactive opening of the public hearing, and now I'll close it. And I would make a motion to approve the 4 supplemental requests stated in this public hearing. Do you want to second that motion, Andy?
Yeah, I'll second that.
To a vote?
Aye.
Aye. All the supplemental requests have been granted. We will now move on to item number 2, discussion and consideration of resolution 2026-30, a resolution approving supplemental, sorry guys, that's the same thing. Good thing there's no members of the public in here today.
Well, you do have to vote to adopt it, but.
Okay. Bullock again makes a motion to adopt resolution 2026-30, a resolution approving supplemental appropriations to the 2026 county budget for the second quarter. Andy, could you second that, please?
Yes, sir. I second that motion.
To a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item number 3, discussion and consideration of resolution 2026-31, 2026 Board of Position Appointments, led by Candace Brines, our county manager.
So we've had a few board appointments end and new people come on board. I think this one was for, I'm looking at Sandra over there, Brenna in the library, correct?
Brenna in the library, E911,
Thanks.
already forward with Dan, and him as the director. And then there were a few people that fell off of a couple of different boards, so we just listed those as vacancies for Maggie.
Perfect. We're very excited for Dan to now be the OEM director and not me. So happy to make that appointment.
Yeah. Yeah, I read through all that, it looks fine to me.
Looks good to
I'll
me.
make them, oh, sorry, Andy.
Oh, I said it looks good to me too.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve resolution 2026-31, our 2026 board position appointments.
I'll second.
To a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 4, discussion and consideration of resolution 2026-32, an amendment to resolution 2026-28, a resolution ratifying the imposition of stage 2 fire restrictions in the unincorporated areas of Lake County, Colorado. This will be led by Matt Hobbs, our county attorney.
Yeah, this is just following along to Heath's sheriff's changes to the stage 2 fire ban. I think July 31st, he made some changes to the recreational shooting, which was previously not allowed under the stage 2 fire ban. The sheriff changed that to allow recreational shooting at the Leadville Rod and Gun Club and the Lake County Public Shooting Range. He's also specified some types of ordinances are not allowed. Incendiary rounds, tracer rounds, armor-piercing rounds, and projectiles are still banned, and the ban recreational shooting ban also still extends to the other unincorporated areas of Lake County outside of those two, gun clubs.
Okay.
So it's just a ratification pursuant to our ordinance of the sheriff's,
Okay.
recommendation to change that stage 2 fire restriction.
Cool. Commissioner Lee, you have anything you'd like to say about this before we move on?
No questions here. I read through that. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Bullock makes a motion to approve resolution 2026-32, a resolution ratifying the imposition of stage 2 fire restrictions in unincorporated areas of Lake County.
I second.
To a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 5, discussion and consideration of the first amended and restated combined intergovernmental agreements for the Leadville and Lake County Regional Housing Authority. This will be led by Candace Bryans.
So our original IGA with the Lake County and City of Leadville IGA was from 2021. And it involved Jackie really being involved in an employee lending agreement. And since that time, we've really stood up the Regional Housing Authority. We brought on their own staff, who's not our lended staff. And we have updated several of the items in that agreement. Some of the most notable things that we've updated were for the authority to be a separate multi-jurisdictional housing authority. It will have a 7-member board of directors with 2 county appointees, 2 city appointees, and 3 members at large. The clarification that authority personnel are employees of the authority and not employees of the city or county, even though we make some financial contributions, to the staff, we make a contribution, the city makes a different one. After this year, payroll processing, salary payments, and employee tax responsibilities go to the authority on January 1, 2027. And then it updates the obligations and procedures for services that are provided by the authority. And the last big change is that it consolidates and replaces the original 2021 housing director IGA and the authority IGA at that time.
I'll just add, there's like one small sort of minor change to this, probably late. Friday, the city of Leadville noticed they weren't sure their tax was calculated correctly in the agreement. So they changed section 5.5 subsection 2, subsection B. It had read that, their lodging tax of 4.92% on short-term rentals and hotels. Previously, it read 62% of those revenues went to the Rural Housing Authority. They recalculated the math and it's actually 61%. They said the money is the same, it's just they had it miscalculated in the prior agreement in terms of the percentage. So won't change the dollars, it doesn't affect the county, but I did just want to make a note that that was one small change that came in late Friday that the city's attorney gave me.
Okay. Thanks, Matt. Andy, you have any input for us on this one?
No questions here.
None for me either. So I will make a motion to approve the combined intergovernmental agreements for the Leadville and Lake County Regional Housing Authority.
I will second.
To a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you guys. Thanks, Becky. Let's see, item number 6, discussion and consideration of an amended special events permit for the Leadville Trail 100 mountain bike and the Leadville Trail 10K run. This will be led by Ann Snyder, our Community Planning Development Director.
Thank you. I thought Tamara was gonna be here to join us. I've been texting to see if I could get her here to remind her. So I will just move forward with the amended permits. I think it's important to note that we got this out, these slight changes to all the review agencies, and so what we've got today in the form of your amended permits, there was one slight change, so I've got a accurate hard copy with me today. Has been approved by OEM, Fire, Sheriff's Office, and the Forest Service. And so did kind of really wanted to thank Tamara for working diligently with staff to get the information in so that we could provide these updates. She also had a PowerPoint that I thought that she was going to present that I didn't share. Have you all been able to see that? Again, I just kind of anticipation.
No, I thought she was gonna be here.
Yeah.
I bet we moved quicker than she thought we would.
Let her know, so, and we sent her an invite, so I sent a text message too, but, we've got support for her reroutes, for the run, the start and finish, location stays the same, but the start outbound will follow the Mineral Belt Trail out to Carter, which is the name of the aid station, actually not a location. And then from Carter, a little exit left onto the Turquoise Lake Road or County Road 9. It'll take 9 down to 9C to the dam. Then 558 Highway 300 and back on course at the bottom of the power line. Inbound, they'll go up single track around Turquoise, then to Carter Summit, again, the aid station, and return via the mountain bike route through Keven and up the boulevard. County Road 36, which is, the boulevard has been historic. The only aid station change will be the May Queen aid station has changed to what now is Carter Summit, which is a location off County Road 9 at Turquoise Lake. All other aid stations will stay the same. Crewing change, there's no crewing change this year only though at Carter or within the lake boundary. So again, those have all gone out. The race series has worked diligently with OEM, the Forest Service, and the Sheriff's Office. I did get email confirmation that they've approved these changes. And so that's how the run has changed, the 100 run, then for the minimum, or the mountain bike 100 and the 10K run outbound, they will follow the traditional course. There's no changes from the start or finish, everything stays the same, but they'll go down County Road 9 and then turn left into, again, Carter Summit, which is an aid station location. And then inbound, they'll go up County Road 9 or the Turquoise Lake Road to County Road 9C to 9 to Carter Summit and down Keven, and then take the home the traditional route. There is an option too that is still pending Forest Service and Sheriff's Office approval, and that would be using the dirt roads below Turquoise Dam. So what we've done is just amended the permit to have the same conditions that you approved on April 8th with these slight deviations to the route and which are supported by the Forest Service, Sheriff's Office, and Emergency Management. So happy to answer any questions. I probably am not going to explain that as well as Tamara would have. And I can get the slide deck. I can get that up if you would like to see that, or we can go through that presentation if you would like. So apologize for Tamara not being present for this portion.
She is on her way over, she said.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think we just got here more quickly than she thought we would.
Okay. So, certainly can table that for just a minute till she arrives, or?
Yeah, let's just stall out here.
But
can I get a clarification on one point of this? Looking through the packet, I see that, like you mentioned, Dan, we have option one or option two, and option two seemed preferred and deemed safer by the organization seeking the permit, but we are awaiting approval from the Forest Service and the Sheriff's Department on that option. Am I hearing this correctly?
That's correct, Commissioner Lee. And I've stipulated that in the amended permit, that there is a second option, that the board, would, be in favor of approving with the approval of the Sheriff's Office and the U.S. Forest Service. So yes, that option two, on the mountain bike, course, is being proposed, but we're still in standby, waiting for, final approval from the Sheriff's Office and the Forest Service.
And then at this time, as the BOCC trying to approve one or the other, or is the language written in a way that we can approve the amended path and that can include both options?
The amended permit is being presented to you with the ability to do both, to take option one and then pivot to option two if approved by the Sheriff's Office and the Forest Service.
Great, thank you.
Sure. I'm gonna give these to you, Commissioner Bullock.
Okay.
These have the correct, on the bike, it has County Road 9, the other one had County Road 4.
Okay.
So those two are the right hard copies. I can run downstairs. Yeah, my laptop is fixed, let me just go down and.
Okay.
I can move it over to the.
Okay.
I do it right now.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Is that the best way is to put it in the packet in Teams?
You can do that, or you can do the BOCC version. Yeah, packet and stuff. Just switch to and then you can pull from over here. And then if you close that window to the right, it'll expand it. And then you need to click share. Yeah. Let's make it more complicated.
Jump ahead to the county attorney updates and do that real quick if you wanted.
Okay.
A couple minutes.
Sure. Sunday, right? There's no update.
Yeah, Sunday, yeah. Should I click that?
It's called Limerick
Actually, if
Fire.
you close out of that and then do open an app. It should open an app at the top there.
So we're gonna skip ahead and do county attorney updates.
Yeah, if you guys, Ann, did you hear that? We're gonna do some county attorney updates while we wait for Tamara to come show us a slide presentation.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Just a couple of quick updates on a couple cases. We did reach a stipulation in one of the water cases, so like we were saying earlier, the water attorneys have been monitoring 3 or 4 of these cases when people come in and apply for water rights in Lake County to make sure the county's water rights are protected and not impacted by any changes that occur in these other cases. And we reached a stipulation in the Erickson case, which is out by Twin Lakes, I believe. And that had input from the county's water engineers, where they look at the proposed decree, that what the applicants are wanting. They kind of goes back and forth, some negotiations are made. I think they agreed to all our, requested changes in their proposed decree, so there was a stipulation entered into that case allowing that case to essentially move forward. The county can still come in and object later on when the final decree gets issued. But for all intents and purposes, that somewhat resolves our involvement in that case. The other land use case where we had a trial on, we got an order today on our bill of costs, which, they weren't much, but they were about $300 between the bill of costs and the fine that was issued. They owe about $1,300 to the county for that land use violation, because there was a $1,000 fine handed down by the judge on the tiny home case, so that's all I have on the updates, really.
Okay. Thank you, Matt.
Go ahead.
Yeah, county manager updates.
So a couple of updates. We've really been able to dial back on response to the Willow Fire. Our EOC is still meeting, I think it's weekly at this point, just to make sure we're all on the same page with recovery work. We had an event last night at the Southern Fire Station. It was just all of our recovery resources for the community. They were there from 6 to 8 p.m. last night for people to come in, ask questions, get information, get connected with resources if they needed it. We have been gathering all of our 213 and 214 forms. Those are the forms that we submit for hopeful reimbursement. Just a little information for you all about the timeline on that. Those take quite a while to process. We have a lot of communities that gave us their staff to work, and so we submit forms, and those entities, went ahead and fronted the cost of their staff, and they'll get reimbursed for the extra time they spent sending their staff to help us out. And that's from HEAP to OEM to PIO to all kinds of resources. We are looking at getting some thank yous to send those communities who supported us and kind of took on the cost until they get reimbursed from the state on our behalf, and want to be good partners. So Dan and I are taking a look at some options and working on that. I am going to be working with Heath and Dan Campbell, our OEM, to understand when we and the new Type 4 team that's been dedicated to the rest of the response, to understand when we can actually pull back that disaster declaration. We're still technically in one, and I'll work with them to understand when we can come back and rescind that declaration. Other items are that we should find out at the end of this month about a grant we applied for. We looked at the, I think it was Rural Safe Schools and Roads for All grant application, and when we went to go apply for some grant funding, we were told that Lake County didn't have a specific road plan that needed to be in place in order for us to be eligible for those funds now and in the future. And so we were able to actually apply for that grant to cover the cost of doing that plan. And we wrote the city's roads into that part of the plan with us, so hopefully it'll get it done for the entire community. And we should know back about that. We're pretty hopeful that we're able to get that funding. We received grant funding from DOLA to a comprehensive asset management plan, and we will be getting an RFP out that aligns with the guidelines from DOLA, about who we can fill that with and all of the process we have to follow to use their funding, to get that process started, hopefully in the next month. I wanted to share that we normally have done quarterly updates, so every quarter I do an update on budget to actuals, what we spent, what we thought we would spend for both revenues and expenditures. Because we were in the disaster declaration and working around the clock, we didn't do that in July. But Sandra has got that scheduled, so I can bring the dashboard in front of you guys for our next meeting. Our next Tuesday meeting, and give you an overview of, where departments, where are things looking at budget-wise for the year. We have started meeting with departments, this is the earliest that we have begun building our budgets for the next year, and I'm really proud of us for being at a point where we could start that, almost immediately. Our auditor is finishing up the last pieces of our audit. He's on vacation, so he won't present it to you all till I think the beginning of September is when he's back, but we're gonna go ahead and get that submitted to the state before he does an overview for commissioners. So an update on that. I do wanna flag that DHS has some pretty significant changes to federal and state funding that could really heavily impact our budget. SNAP benefits have typically been paid for by the federal government, and the federal government is saying, we've got to cut our SNAP spending, it's too much of our budget. And in saying that, they've passed it on to the state. The state is in a deficit budget year, so they are not where they will and can absorb all of that cost. So just for some context, I wanna say, our SNAP amount, I think from last year was around $1 million. So if you think about, that's just us, one county, that's quite a lot of money for the state to cover. And what the state is saying is they don't know that they can and will cover all of it, so they're gonna pass a portion on to counties. They've looked at regionalizing different DHS departments across the state for these different SNAP benefits, and the pool that we're in, so they've looked at putting us in a pool with other counties. That regional pool that we're in, they've come up with a couple of different financial models that estimate what we could owe. At this point, at 5 different estimations, the lowest of which is an additional $70,000 we'd be paying that we've never covered. The greatest of those is around $500,000 that could be passed on to the county. So we know that ours is around $1 million, so we could pay, up to half of that amount depending on what model the state opts to go with, looking at these regional centers. So that is just one allocation in DHS's budget. This is not all of the other items that have been peeled back that we may be on the receiving end of. So if we're looking at absorbing an additional $500,000, I think this is what I've been kind of saying for the last year, is the state is pulling back public health funding, the state is pulling back DHS funding, and the items that are funded by those dollars aren't things that I don't get to provide. I don't get to say, hey, we just won't do that. They're statutorily required. If you can imagine that kind of a hit to our budget in multiple different allocations, it's gonna be a pretty challenging budget year, and I think we're gonna have to be really conscientious to do the things we're required to do first, and then kind of look at all the other items as what can we still continue to do well, and just might have to have some tough conversations as we start to get more of those numbers from the state about what they're gonna pass on to us that we used to have funded. So do want you to know we're working on budgets, we're working on them early so we can get them in front of you and really have those conversations. Cause I think we're gonna have to make, some fairly challenging decisions over the next year, couple years, as we aren't getting those same dollars from the Fed and the state anymore. I think that's all I have. Sorry, that wasn't more fun news. But
Thank you.
Tamara's gonna liven it up.
So sorry you guys moved so fast, I was not expecting it to go so fast.
We have one less person on the board today, so it's going faster. But thanks for coming, and we hear that you have a slide presentation for us?
Yes,
Oh, there it is, look at that.
and I don't think we need to. Should I start?
So I already told the board I brought in the amended permits, which just highlighted and went some through the changes that you and I touched on over email. They have that in front of them. They also have, if option B were to become available, that's included in the amendment if approved by the sheriff's office and Forest Service. So everything that you've shared with me is in the amended permits, and they have those in front of them for consideration. So just that you might wanna go through your slide deck and just kinda get into
nitty gritty of it a little bit more.
Drive?
Can I drive?
Yeah.
I don't know, what do I need? Just work in the chair?
Sure. Yeah.
Is it this one? Yeah. I mean, nothing's changed here, I don't think you guys need that. Thanks, Ian. So, I mean, the good news is, will this open, do you think? No.
We can go out and open it separately and check separately if we need to.
It might be. So, with the changes last week, all the days and weeks have blended now at this point. I have probably 16 iterations of every course for each event. But this would be our preferred option. And on this one, we're looking at Twin Lakes for or not Twin Lakes, these are named funny names, and this is kind of a funny story I'll tell you quickly. People are stalking my account at this point to try to figure out where the routes are going. Like, I'm literally getting texts from people showing, Tamara, you've gotta make this private, and so now I've started naming them funny things. Some people have suggested that next time I start to have 24 hours of Leadville, Triple Hope Pass, like really just mess with them, but anyway. The good news is that's not what we have to do, potentially, if you all agree and approve it. Right now, with the changes that we have, this does allow us to have a version that's quite similar to the original. The mountain bike will be a little faster if this is the accepted version, in that it's 2,000 feet less and 4 miles less, so it will be a faster course for sure. But what this would do is go out the same way that it does now. It goes out the same way from town, start and finish. This is, I think, for right now where we're sitting economically, this is a big win to be able to start and end these events in Leadville proper, keep the footsteps here. So we'd start, everything would stay the same, everything that's already been permitted around the courthouse, around alcohol, around all those pieces would stay the same. It would go out the same way that it does it has traditionally out Keevans, but at Keevans it would take a hard left and come down the road. And I have in here, we'll get to a page where I show law enforcement to help us with this. So this option we believe is approved by Forest Service, is approved by the sheriff, is approved by Search and Rescue, is approved by OEM. And basically is just everything the same, but what we're doing here is coming down the lake and we are going to the dam and turning another hard left out across 5 and around 300. So this puts us back on course right here and we're back in the regular flow of things at Outward Bound. So this is just skirting the fire at this point and does not pose anything that isn't typically permitted outside of this road, which both sheriff and Forest Service have agreed is appropriate to use for this event. So that's the mountain bike. I'll show you the run really quick. The run's gonna do a little bit of an interesting thing just to get the miles. Any questions on this first?
So the map I saw had the single track, but that's just the run.
Just the run.
The mountain bike doesn't incorporate any
Nope.
single track around the lake.
I would love to, but I don't think that people would like it very much. There's a section, if you're not aware of it, in this area that's pretty technical.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So for this event, we don't think that's the right move. We think
Okay.
this is the right move. So this keeps us at 100 miles, keeps us at a relative elevation gain. I do suspect we'll be at potentially, Keegan could be under 5 hours this year, just as an insider. So this will be a course record, of course, because it's not been done before.
Gosh, I could have gone under 10 this year.
Should have signed up, buddy. I might know somebody.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, but any no training needed. Any other questions on kind of this is option 1. I'll show you option 2. Option 2 is basically dropping down. This is the mini power line section in here that you can't see, but it's what we use in the run, and then it comes down County Road 48 in the run. What I've asked for of the Forest Service and the Sheriff, and we're kind of going back and forth on this right now, is that if we could come through here and drop them right onto County Road 5A and avoid the highway here, so that's option 2. And what that does is, and this is HMI, so I've got HMI approval to do that as well. I think I shared that with you. There's a private property section here. It's the owners, the people who founded HMI, and then I have HMI. And we have an access point that we can use through here if it gets approved, but we need Forest Service and Sheriff to align. Sheriff is in a good spot. Forest Service is asking some questions at this point, so and obviously this isn't open, so it's not even viable at this moment. So if it were to become that, what I like about that option is everybody kind of understand we go straight down here
Yeah.
and cut across, so now we're off the road, and that just feels a lot safer ultimately. So that's mountain bike. Any questions there for anybody? Cameron, this cannot go
I
in
have
the paper.
questions.
Commissioner Lee, you have some questions?
I said I have no questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let me go to, oh, how do I get it back, you guys?
Can move that over.
Thank you. This is the run. The run's a little bit different, so I'll walk you guys through this one. In order to get the miles, and we had a very strong intention to have at least one time around the single track. So the way that it goes right now is it would go out County Road 9 the way the bike does and come up Keevens, so outbound it would be like Keevens. It would come here and it would come down. Yes.
Can I pause you right there real quick?
Yes, Andy.
I'm not seeing the map window open. I'm just seeing the presentation page. Is there a way to share the screen
I
that you're
bet
on?
there is.
Yeah, we're just sharing the window of the presentation so we can adjust it.
If you click stop share, it'll pop up. Do you see the red?
I don't think so. Oh, I do now. Now that I give it back to you.
Where is it? Share. We're doing the whole screen.
Or you can do a whole screen or just that window.
Now whatever she pulls up, we'll see. Okay, now
Escape out the presentation.
let's copy. There you go. Can you see it now, Andy?
Sure can, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
There you go.
Thanks, Andy. Okay, so we're going out. Here we go. We're going out the way that the bike does to Keevens. So this is exactly the same. Coming down County Road 4, going out County Road 9, and then coming around and getting them onto the dirt. Coming into Keevens, take a hard left, come down Keevens, and then do the same thing that the bike is on the outbound. And it would just connect back into outward bound the same way here. This is outward bound. So all of that would stay the same. On the inbound, what would happen is it would come back through outward bound, but instead of going back up the road there, it would come along the lake here. I'm gonna do it this way. It'll come along. It'll come back up from outward bound and it'll go up the lake around to Mayqueen, so we get that iconic sort of single track piece in one time. And then they come out the road to Carter and go back on Keevens home. So they do not run all this road down at the juncture of 7 a.m. when they're toast and tired. So put them out on the dirt where it's a little safer, back in here, and then come back on the boulevard as they normally do. So outbound, Keevens. Inbound, they would do the lake one time, and then they come up the road and they go to Carter. The other thing that changes here is no aid station at Mayqueen. Aid station goes to Carter. So the aid station would live there. We have Forest Service approval for that. The other thing that will change is we're not gonna have any crews allowed in there. No crews at all. So last year, for the last 2 years, we only had crews in the evening. We will take crews out altogether. So it will only be pacers. We will take and shuttle the pacers in. The pacers will get dropped here at Carter. The buses will go down to the overlook, turn around and go back out. So they can still get pacers in there, but we just won't allow crews in that area. And we will have, so that's kind of the course for the run. I'll stop before I get into law enforcement. Any questions on the course?
None for me. How about you, Andy?
No questions here, thank you.
So let's go on to, so same start finish, you got all this part, Carter, exit left, blah, 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 so that's in your PowerPoint if you wanna review it at any given time. I think the piece that you do wanna know about, let's go to this, maybe, that just highlights the change. This is where it previously went, right? This is it going around, but let me take you down to this guy. So just for awareness and safety's sake, for both events, we will have law enforcement managing those key intersections. Now, if we get to push through into the Forest Service area and drop down to 5A, then we'll just move this law enforcement agent off of here over to here. But for right now, we wanna make sure, this intersection is my nemesis, I don't like this intersection very much. Just with, you have traffic going to Sugarloaf and to the lake and to 5A and then up 48. So ideally, we put somebody here that'll be managing that and they will have red and blues. So same thing, we'll have somebody here and we'll have somebody also at this intersection, which is 5A and 300, or 5A and 5, until it turns into 300, does that make sense? So we'll just make sure to have adequate support, law enforcement support to ensure we don't have any issues there. Questions on that?
No questions here.
Great. Just a reminder, the one thing that we've asked for in here that would highlight is for the mountain bike only, we would do a 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. closure. This is not, so this would be no crews being allowed in. Campground guests would be allowed in, and we will be working with Bill Stroud and the Forest Service to determine some pathway where they show reservation. We don't expect from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. on August 15th to have a lot of people trying to check into their campground or to leave, but we don't want to barrier that public. We will also have from Carter Summit down, I think I just ordered another 30 signs, so we'll have like 40 bikers or athletes stay to the right. We're gonna have athletes stay to the right in both races. So runners and riders, they'll see signage in these key areas, stay to the right, reminding them, and then we'll have law enforcement in there to help. And then this section, particularly for the bike as they descend, because they will be so fast and sometimes not very smart, we want to avoid the intersection between the vehicle and the human, and Forest Service has supported this as well. This is just other stuff that you've already seen. Those are the streets, the same things stay the same. Mountain bike for the city, that's a thing for me for tonight. We will still handle the closure from 5 to 7 in the morning. Doesn't really impact you guys other than what does impact here. The courthouse is obviously still in play. Then it's the noon thing on Friday, right? Where we start to set up the toilets and all those things. So noon on Friday next week, everything is meant to be closed down, and we're taking over that parking lot at that point, but not until then. So nothing else changes really, nothing changes in there, that stays the same as it always has been. This is our normal parking plan, it all stays the same. As long as nothing changes in those areas, we can still use all those, and we have approval from the school district as well. You don't need that. Highlighted changes to the run, same thing, you've got all those, right? We've talked through it. I'll just show you this guy if I can. Oh, it doesn't work now. Not allowed.
Here, if you, let me hit control and you click on it.
Let me get rid of that, yep. There it is.
Or,
Perfect. And this just highlights that little section for you to see. Option B, should we get approval to come through, this is from the dam straight down the dirt and then around and onto 5A. I think those are my big things. Did I miss anything in?
no, I think that's it.
Questions? Just highlights if it's in there if you guys want to take a look at it. It's in your deck. No aid at May Queen, aid station at Carter Summit is the big thing, no crews in there. Pacers we will take in by shuttle. Additional law, we've talked about it. I don't think there's anything else.
That looks good to me. Last slide is funny.
Usually comes up somewhere in there.
I just want to say thanks to you guys for coordinating with our local first responders and emergency management during what is pretty much an unprecedented time here for Lake County, trying to have this event and bring people back to the community and you know, especially from an economic standpoint. Thanks for all your hard work, and thank you staff for trying to figure this thing out and get this thing moving.
Thanks, Andy.
You had, what are the options for folks that have been signed up? Do they get a refund if they don't wanna come, or they get to defer, or?
So we had a lot of conversations about this, and honestly, it came down to if we had to do like a double lap on the east side, they would get some kind of an option for a refund.
Yeah.
If we were able to keep it within a very 80-90% similarity to the regular course, the group above me decided that they would not do a refund or a deferral exception on that. And with the run, we got within 200 feet of the original course, like it was 13,800. It's all the key iconic places. This is as well minus power line.
Right.
So at this point, they're pushing forward with no deferrals. They can, like, people can still defer. You can still have your regular deferral, but it doesn't have a discounted rate to it, if you will. And had we had to go with something different, that would have been a different course. Part of that, just to give insight, is the number of humans that are stacked waiting to get in. And when we start to go and give people the chance, if we increase that deferral rate, then we start to lose the lottery for new people who haven't set foot on the course. So trying to protect the equity also of people who've been trying for years to get in. So it's a balancing point, for sure.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to see him move forward, so thank you. That power line is the crux on the return for the bike.
Well, maybe we'll figure out how we get that back next year together. That will be our collective. Certainly the EDC's got their head in the game of any way we need to get funds to rehab, we're in there.
Okay. Alrighty, Andy, you got anything else before we move on?
No, sir. Thank you.
Let's see, I would move to approve the amended special events permit for the Leadville Trail 100 mountain bike race and the Leadville Trail 10K run.
Can we do both those agenda items in one motion?
It's probably 100.
No. There's a 10K run with the mountain bike,
Okay.
and then on the same day, and then there's the run.
So the motion stands. Andy, we'll do the run separately.
10-4. I will second your motion, Commissioner Bullock.
Okay, to a vote?
Aye.
Aye. I would also move to approve the amended special event permit for the Leadville Trail 100 run.
I will second that.
To a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tamara.
Thank you, Tamara.
Yeah, thanks, Andy, appreciate it, everybody. Appreciate all the work everybody's doing right now.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I will second that.
To a vote?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda is approved. This is a reminder that all recordings are on YouTube and available for the public. And this concludes our meeting, August 4th at 12:20 p.m.